You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity in the highway to the north is Safety Wars. For this election day eve, trying to get this camera adjusted. I can rumble. We're a little bit off. We'll try to fix this as we go along. Somebody moved my camera. So, like I said, election eve, Monday, November 4th, 2024. I heard from some people. Well, we haven't heard from you lately, Jim. What's going on? The epic of my life, right? So, a lot of you might have had some of these situations out there where a family member is sick, you have family issues going on, and then all of a sudden you don't have those family issues going on anymore. And it's a new adjustment, but the other thing is this. Things I couldn't do for years, personally, around the house, taking care of things, seeing people, starting to do again, right? Getting back to the old normal, trying to recreate the old normal. The other thing is this. Everything hits at one shot. I've been working like every night, practically. This past weekend, one of my clients had a situation where I had to attend to it the entire weekend. and for a new warehouse that's going up, that's open today, for a company that you all have heard of. Believe me, everyone in the world has heard of in the area. So dealing with the last 2 days of work. And what happens? You get a lot of visitors that come in because they're there for the start of work. And right, 4 years ago, has it been 4 years? Coming up on, if it's not 4 years, close to 4 years. We started our HOP journey, Human Organizational Performance Journey, starting in 2020, the beginning of 2020. And like Brett Sutton calls it, you need soak time. Well, what does that mean, Jim? That means you absorb information, you gotta let it soak in. Put it into your head. Right, get it into your head, and everything else. So, what ended up happening was, now I've been doing managerial work. Very rarely do I want to get involved in field work anymore. But when I do, there's one project I'm involved with. It's almost over. It's field work, 3 weeks a month. But new work I'm bringing on, nothing's really field work other than audits. A couple of days here, a couple of days there. I try to hire people for things. But every once in a while, there's a situation where I have to handle it, because no one's available. Again, up here in the Northeast, it's a little bit weird. Basically, anywhere north of Route 80, right? So for those people outside of the United States, we have an interstate highway system here. And in the northern United States, there's one main highway that goes across the United States. That's Route 80. There are others. There are many others. You know, you heard of Route 66. Down south, and all these other roads that interconnect. President Eisenhower, back in the 1950s, wanted to, because they finished World War II and they realized if there's an invasion of the United States, you have to move things around quick. So one of the reasons that they built the interstate system was to do that. And it took almost 50 years to get this thing done. But one of the roads that was done was Route 80. So for your own reference, Route 80 is from the George Washington Bridge in New York City to just north of San Francisco in California. If you go on the other end, right, the western end by San Francisco, north of San Francisco, that is where the mothballed Navy ships are, right almost at the end there. So to give you a point of reference, I forget the name of the facility for the mothballed ships, but anyway, it's over there. Been there. Overlooking that. And consequently, not too far away from here, we had the mothballed ships in World War II right on the Hudson. The anchor is there. I keep meaning to go out there and take a picture of the anchor. The anchor there, the tie-ups are there for the Liberty ships that were mothballed off of Rockland County here, Haverstraw. Anyway, I digress. But north of Route 80, once you get around Halloween, it's give or take what kind of weather you're going to get. South of Route 80, you got like a couple, you could probably middle of November, end of November, around Thanksgiving. You can still have pretty good weather, but for whatever reason, north of Route 80, it's bad. So every weekend, nobody wants to work on the weekends here in October and November. In October, because you're getting to that last good weekend, right? You're going to end up, the weather is going to turn to Guuvno. And then and everything else. So I ended up taking these jobs, and we had some very high-level executives there overseeing the job on the weekend, and they got me in there. Well, Jim, we need you here, blah, blah, blah. Nobody could work, doing oversight work. You have to be here, this sort of thing. So do not only safety, but also some operations type things for the construction. So we end up going in there, and what do we have? The SKR, right? Skills, knowledge, and rules way of doing things. So you try to set up jobs so they're in the skills-based mode. So they're least likely to have errors, least likely And then we can talk about fail safely and everything else. And then you have rules or you're making decisions all the times. And if this, then this. And you have to always, you're not getting into that low attention, high familiarity thing. You're somewhere in the middle. And then you have the knowledge, lack of knowledge type thing. Now, it's the last day of a project, right? Now you're in a situation where do you want to change the rules on at the end of the project if things have been going smoothly all along? We're not talking IDLH, immediately dangerous life and health type things. We're talking de minimis safety violations, de minimis ways of doing things. And I know there's people out there, oh, well, Jim, you have to have 100% compliance all the time. Blah, 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 blah. But, dude, when you're going to start to change things in your management structure, don't do this, now do this. You're knocking people from that skills-based mode where they're doing work all the time, and it's skills, and they have their guards in, and they're making, adjustments to the way they're working and everything. Okay, now, and you have context. Once you start changing rules around at the end of the job, unless it's like obvious safety hazards, IDLH conditions, things like that where people are going to get hurt, now you're going to go into the error portion of this. Do you really want to start inserting error into everything? No, you don't want to do that. But you still want to do your job, so you have to come up with some kind of a balance. This is reality. So this is what happened. There was an issue, and one of these big safety guys comes over, and he's like, this is the contractor safety person. Oh, we're really going to try to intimidate him. So what's the first thing that they ask for all the time? Job hazard analysis or activity hazard analysis or whatever you're calling them, right? But it's all the same, right? Do those workers have blah, blah, blah? Yeah, well, actually, we discussed that. Well, did you discuss this, that, the other thing, blah, 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 blah? Yes, we discussed all of that stuff going on, right? And then, and what happened? They're not getting the answers that they want, are they? The answers that they want are, yeah, I think we do, But because of getting back to this hop journey that we're on here, I know that he has had human and organizational performance training. I know it for a fact. Because I know the son of a gun who gave it to him. Believe me. And to his organization. All right? Member here of Safety FM. I know. So right off the bat, he starts, and I said to him, your organization, I believe, has had human organizational performance, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah. So, in that training, they always talk about the modes of work here. And so we're in the last day of the job here. Now, with all due respect, we're in the last day of the job. Do we really want to start changing things up here and putting people into an error mode? They seem to be going like fine and dandy here. We only have like 8 hours left to work here. So why don't we just continue with our safety audits, continue with our monitoring of the work, and everything else, and we're going to finish this on a positive note. We're doing very low risk. To come out here and intimidate people and yell and scream and everything, not going to work here, sir. And then that wasn't what the answer that he was looking for. He was looking for someone to cower. And my client even said, you told him that? I said, yeah, I told him that. And he said, I don't think anyone's ever told him that. I said, well, you guys are afraid of him. You can't be afraid. If you're doing the right thing, like I do the right thing all the time. I do every time. I'm meticulous. We try to do the right thing all the time. Sometimes you fail. I mean, that's just the way it is. Sometimes, but most of the time we're successful. Doing the thing, having the right answers, knowing the right answers ahead of time, knowing your work modes, or knowing your job how to do it. No, you need paperwork, plans, and everything going in there, pre-planning, and everything else. That all goes into all this safety stuff. And if you have that, there's no reason why you should hold your head up low and, be confident. Look the person in the eye. Don't get upset. Because I tell you what, they want you to get upset a lot of times. They want you to fly off the handle. And if you don't give them that, it completely throws them off, number one. Number two, you get something called respect back. Because, wow, this guy is acting, or this person is acting confident. Well, you know what? Then when you start to cower and you're like hemming and hawing and, guess what? That's when they're going to swoop down on you. They're going to swoop down on you, and they're, and everything else are going to be more and more questions. Be confident in what you do. Do your job. Do it good. Follow the law. Be confident. Look them in the eye. Right? Have that backbone that I talk about during the leadership training that I gave a couple of weeks ago. That's what I got for you. We're going to go to our first commercial break, and we're going to come back with election news. And because I have somebody here who has a question, she wants to say hello. There she is. And we're going to go to our first commercial break here. And hopefully I'll remember to turn the camera back on.
This is going to blow your mind. There's a new daytime talk show on your local cable access station. What happens when safety, scandal, and heartbreak collide? Welcome to Safety Wars, the talk show. Today's episode is a doozy. Imagine confronting your unsafe supervisor who just happens to be your ex-wife's new hubby. Talk about a powder keg. But wait, there's more. We've got an exclusive interview with a corporate exec who's taken out life insurance policies on his riskiest workers, hoping to cash in on a deadly mishap. Yup, you heard that right. It's a real-life plot twist you can't make up. Tune in as Jim Posel, CSP, our very own Jerry Springer of Safety, dives deep into this explosive confrontation. Sparks will fly and secrets will be exposed. Catch the full episode on Safety Wars on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Don't miss out on the drama that could save your life. Like and share now, and stay safe, folks.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Yes, we are here at night, and I do have, that was my daughter coming on camera for quite briefly. She did the promo here with me a while back. But, hey, I'm a dad. Election day tomorrow. Hey, what are we doing tomorrow during election day? No. She tries to be a social butterfly. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Unlike me, at that age especially. But anyway, let's talk about elections here. We're going to go over part 2 of our leadership program. But this is directly tied to social change. And we have been dealing with this election stuff now literally since the last election. Constant. And I tell you what, I've been on this phone, people say, well, Jim, you're involved in campaigns. I'm involved in voter education stuff. And there's one organization that I do AV work for. For running their voter education stuff. It's a labor of love, minor stuff out there. But, and I'm also running larger events also for some community groups. Right? So, for example, I'll supply the sound system. I'll do PowerPoints. I'll do movies. I'll do whatever. Online posting and everything else. That's part of what we do here. And that's been my thing here is voter education. And however this turns out tomorrow, we're going to have programs on another platform, because they're not safety related per se. They're going to be politically related we're going to have some programs on another platform dealing specifically with politics. And that's all I'll say on that. But it all depends on how this election is going to turn out tomorrow. Now, for tonight, I'm going to go over briefly, and if you're a regular listener or viewer, you've seen this before, is the safety rules for radicals. All right, is what I am going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. And we're going to do safety rules for radicals here. All right, let me get the full screen. Don't worry, we're learning other platforms and everything, but it's, no, it is, here, okay, hold on. All right. All right, here we go. And hold on. Now I got to discombobulate. I apologize there for you folks at home. Okay, here we go. And so I'm going to disappear here. We're going to go right to this thing. So if you don't see me, it's not that I left. It's that we are going through the PowerPoint presentation here. Now, challenges for safety professionals, right? So a lot of this presentation has to do with politics. How do I manage a work crew or a person against me? For you folks on the audio end here. How was this developed? Rules for Radicals is a book written by Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky was a community organizer from the late 1960s, 68. There was a big riot at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. And he said, look, we cannot go and keep doing this. There's a system of doing this in politics and everything else that we have. And I wish I knew this when I was going into politics in 1999 or 2000, in that time range. Because what happened is this. Your political campaigns, especially on the left, have been the rules for radicals. And it's not until really President Donald Trump came into the political landscape. The second time he tried in 2012, it didn't go too well for him. Lasted a couple of weeks, and then he came back in 2016, and the rest is history. He adopted a lot of these rules for radicals, and what we have seen in the last month or so here, that especially last year, right? But these rules for radicals, now both sides are doing them. I'm seeing stuff going on both. I can identify rule this, rule that, blah, 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 blah. And it's important for us to know about these things and what they are. And I noticed also when I was getting involved in this is that they also apply to any kind of culture in an organization. When you're trying to come in there as a change, whether you're a safety professional, new leadership, new CEO, new this, new that, whatever, in a management role, these things are often used for you, especially against you, even especially in a toxic situation. So let's just run through these really quick. All right, so here we have how do I manage rules for radicals? Why are safety people hired? Corporate stewardship, contract requirements, regulatory insurance burdens require a full-time person to manage safety compliance, insurance issues, a visit from OSHA or other regulatory agency. That's why we're hired, or a catastrophic incident or high accident rate, right? Companies must, usually. That's how most companies are. They're on that level. They start out because they must have one. DEI was a similar situation, and a lot of companies are abandoning the DEI stuff, diversity, equity, inclusion, because they felt they were forced to do it, but there was really no regulatory requirement. And because there's no regulatory requirement, people got frustrated, and it was like the way we used to manage safety way back in the day, 30 years ago, with people yelling and screaming and cursing and intimidation and everything else, and some of the behaviors you're going to see here. The problem with, pardon me, this approach is that there is an us versus them mentality with this stuff. That's not really what we're about as safety professionals. We don't want us versus them. We want harmony. But that's one of the big problems. And isn't that what we're facing now, us versus them? And it can be used negatively or positively. Some of these things you can use for positive change, some for negative. It's intended for positive, but what happens is that we're human beings, right? And you have to know what you are up against, and it gives you an opportunity to plan and to respond and everything else. Rule number 1, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Really important. So what do you, well, I have worked here for a long time. I am blah, blah, blah. Let's insert your favorite thing. Relationship. Leave me alone. Don't rock the boat. You're going to hear that in the workplace. How do you see that on the political landscape? Is when you don't have enough data about your opponent and you start making things up. And then you start making things up in your own mind, and it runs away, and what you think they know or what power they think you have and everything else. And then you don't act. Our example from the last segment where I had somebody in there who, not used to dealing with this. The power, just a misrepresented. Then all of a sudden it was like, with that. How can I explain this more easily here? It's along the lines of, they think you have no power and they think you're an idiot. Now all of a sudden, it's a misrepresentation. Now he's like, oh, well, how am I going to manage this? This person is not cowering in front of me. Maybe he knows something I don't. This sort of thing. What happens? You can't do your job. Person is usually full of it, right? When they can give you these type of responses. I'm all powerful. I'm this, I'm that. Well, guess what? Are they really? Because they got to report to someone. Rules 2 and 3. Never go outside the expertise of your people, and whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. So you want to stay in your lane. In politics, you want to stay in your lane. If you're talking about a policy, whatever you're interested in, you don't want to go outside of that policy, right? And you don't want to go outside of the, but if you can't go outside of your opponent. How does this happen? We had one candidate this year, we won't mention who it is, who goes out and she is asked questions and then she doesn't know what the answers are, right? So she's going outside her expertise and then she gets all in a word salad type of thing and starts rambling. You don't want to do that in politics. Whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. But she needs, so you're running a political opponent. You try to talk things that they're not familiar with. That are your thing. Try to talk things that they're not familiar with. That way they have to do research and play catch up. And don't go outside of what you know with that. How does this work in safety? If you're not sure about something, it's okay to say, you know what? We're going to find out what that is. Or if it's something like, you know what? I don't have experience so much in that. I know a little bit about it, but let me go and do a little bit of a deeper dive on that. I'm going to get back to you. And you have to get back to the person. Or you say, you know what? Let me call somebody else on this and find out what that answer is. Because the worst thing you could ever do is be wrong, right? Be wrong. That's the worst thing you could ever be, is wrong. But the other thing is give them, you don't want to lie to people. You want to have credibility. And, often leads to an old-fashioned game of distraction where they're evading an issue and things of that nature, right? If you're in a meeting about a safety issue with someone, you're going to expect the Chewbacca arguments going on. What are those? That's from South Park. Chewbacca defense, All right, Chewbacca defense is a strategy where a criminal defense lawyer tries to confuse the jury rather than refute the case of the prosecutor. It's an intentional distraction or obfuscation. All right, so they try to distract you with that. You can go Google that on South Park Chewbacca defense. Rule 4, live up to your enemy, live up to their rules, and you live up to your rules. You don't live up to your rules, you're going to have a problem. It's going to be pointed out, right, with that. Don't make a rule you can't enforce, and don't plan to follow yourself. How many times do you get involved in rules that people, oh, we're going to make up this rule. Well, really? And we know on the hierarchy of controls, those rules are administrative controls, and they're the only thing worse than an administrative control is PPE. They don't really work. Rule 5, ridicule is man's foe's potent weapon. How many times have we seen that in this campaign this year? Ridicule. Making fun of them. There is no defense to it. Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't get upset. It brings a lot more ridicule. Don't fight fire with fire, because then they know that you're getting upset. It's not going to work out with that. Rule 6 and 7. A good tactic is one your people enjoy, and number 7, a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. So what the idea is this. With safety, you learn an activity that the workforce enjoys. It's easy to do. Hopefully it's cheap. It gives results. The opposite gives opposite results. Nothing is more than a drag than using the old safety program that doesn't work, is stale, or the workforce cannot relate to. How does this work in politics? We have here, and when I was involved in this stuff in the mid-2000s, we had sine waves. People loved them. They got to socialize. They got to wave with people. Guess what? Good. It was cheap. I don't know how good the results were, but at least people knew that there were people out there that agreed with them on some stuff. The thing. Little demonstrations. This was the era of Tea Party towards the end of my political career. The opposites in which everybody got together, and believe me, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have the situation today with this stuff here. With him. What stuff? Well, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have a lot of people involved in politics that we never had before. Real simple. We brought a lot of people in. Some good, some bad. Mostly good. Right? The opposite gives the opposite results. Nothing more, right? So for example, a sine wave, I don't think that would really make be something out here. I know we still have protests here, pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian at the end of my block all the time. Right? Every Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock, they bust them in. They're paid protesters that come in here on both sides of the aisle here. But again, try to refresh things, learn things, new techniques, figure out what people like. Don't be afraid. A problem workforce will continue to do things to circumvent your efforts if you enjoy it. That's the other thing. If they enjoy it. Rule number 8, keep the pressure on. Always keep pressure on people. Right? That's what tries to happen in a political campaign. They find a weak spot. You're planning on doing one thing, then all of a sudden they focus on that weak spot. Again and again, like a magpie does, right? Just keep on pecking away at you. Being successful and filling the gap of knowledge, preferably with their help, is one way you can get them on your side. So sometimes if you can come up with an effective response, you can get people on their side, include them, and if you're going to be in the workplace, include them in the discussion. Have a learning team. Include them as a subject matter expert. Maybe in politics, where you can say, well, what's your idea? Let's talk about this. Can't do this on a large scale, but personal, one-on-one with that to convert them in. The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Right? What do we have here? President Trump gets reelected here, and well, this is going to happen. Kamala Harris gets elected as president. This is going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Really? We don't have enough capacity in our American system to survive a bad president? Come on. Let's get real here. Your imagination is your own worst enemy. Don't let your imagination run wild. Again, if there is a tactic that the person you're working with, if they enjoy it, or the quote-unquote enemy enjoys, they're going to continue to do it. Right now, we have the issue of lawfare on one side, where instead of warfare, lawfare, and it goes both ways, where we have people involved in the courts all the time. Right? That's a tactic that they use. Keep people distracted, keep them in court here. Right? And the workplace, this comes in many forms. Right? All problem issues come on the same day. Don't think that that's a coincidence. Contact you on days off for non-urgent issues. Right? Again, don't think that that's not planned here. Change paperwork, lose paperwork, then blame you. This is why we have clouds. And we have this thing called a cell phone. Right? Smartphone. Take pictures, everything. Steal resources, something as simple as dry erase markers for a presentation to outright taking equipment and general sabotage. Keeping pressure on you. If you push a negative hard enough and deep enough, it will break through to its counter side. So, make a negative into a positive. Keep a cool head. Right? Don't be afraid to walk away is the other thing. Price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. Just don't criticize, give a solution. Go from no, because we can't do that, blah, 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 pushing through. Yeah, let's do it. Well, yes, if, right? Positive thinking. And coming on to number 13, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Divide and conquer, old-fashioned bullying. Right, in the workplace, don't include you in meetings or don't tell you about meetings you should be at. Not giving you the correct equipment that you need. Breaking equipment you need, unreasonable time frames, rushing an accident investigation, my favorite here. Not giving you resources, time, or personnel to do the job, no professional training or development, not giving you a scope of work for a contract, colluding with others, ganging up on you, distracting you from your duties. In construction, doing work that they don't tell you about. Stringing on you at the last moment. How many times does that happen to you? As a safety professional? Probably more than once. Neck is stiff here. Blindsiding you, probably the worst. So this takes years. But these all are we've had it over the last year with the politics, with stuff. More than the last year. A lot of things out there with politics, with all of this stuff going on for years. This is part of the reason why we're at each other's throats all the time, is the rules for radicals here. One side used them. I said it on Jay Allen's program, so I'll say it here. We didn't have anybody on the Republican side for many years who was able to manage the press. And regardless of what you think of President Trump, he was not afraid of the press. He still is not afraid of the press. And again, they don't know how to handle this. So the other side, right, and this is the day before Election Day, what we're looking at here. The other side seems to be nervous. And they seem to be going back to what they know, which is more of this. We had, and it's been a big disappointment, this election cycle, a source for both the right and the left, the Drudge Report, coming out with things that were not true this past weekend, where we had AI-edited videos and other videos that are edited down that are saying just not true things. And that's a real loser here with this. And our websites like that are promoting bad information and wrong information. whether it's the mainstream media and everything else going on. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I make no predictions. I make no endorsements here. I think you know who I voted for here just by listening here. But, it's along the lines of we can't continue going on with each other at each other's throats. This is not going to work and well. Regardless of what happens tomorrow night, everyone needs to be calm, cool, collected, and everything else. And I'm trying to figure out what to do for tomorrow because I don't think too many people are going to be here on Safety FM. No offense, Jay Allen and everybody else listening to this. They're going to be on the radio, on their TV, listening to election returns. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do here. I might be, who knows, maybe doing election returns, seeing what we have here. So we're going to come back with some election news, real clear politics, see what these polls are. Now, this is what I want you to do if you're at home. I want you to go tonight and look at your favorite poll. Some people say, I'm their favorite poll. Well, I'm only half Polish, right? Look at your favorite poll, polling organization. See what the polls are saying tonight. And then when we get the results, compare. Because I tell you what, these polls have become the news, and they were never intended to become the news, but now the polls are the news. And that is the unrelenting. It's impossible to govern like that if you're worrying about polls all the time, but this is what's going on. So let's go back and we'll take another break here. And what do we got here?
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
In a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Pozell, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant. That's Safety Wars. Join the safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
People make mistakes, know it's true. Falling down and rising up anew. Learning from the scars and heal the bruise. Everybody's got their own excuse. Context drives behavior, can't you see? The past and present shape our destiny. The way you act is not just up to me. In this dance we're bound by history. Late fixes nothing, we're wasting time. Pointing fingers never solves a crime. Lift each other up and let us climb to better heights and brighten those
that was Safety Warrior, and with human and organizational performance.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
Yes, I am licensed to play Safety Warrior music here. Anyway, and this is all for, I'm using this under the fair use doctrine. And this is the from Real Clear Politics, and this is what we've been using for this election cycle. There is another one here. Also, there are many different ones, but this is generally agreed upon where we're at here. We have the electoral. Now, regardless of the nationwide popular vote, it really doesn't matter. I mean, matters is the Electoral College, and this is what we're looking at here. Is 211. Harris, according to the polls, and again, polls don't matter, it's the actual votes. And then you have Trump Vance, 219 here. So, and you had, which leaves us to 108 toss-ups. So what are the toss-ups? We have Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and New Hampshire. So Trump needs 51 Electoral College votes. Kamala Harris needs 61. Am I reading? I'm sorry, 69. 69. So Trump needs 51. She needs 59. 211. Yeah, 59. So what does this what does this mean here? So everybody's over the weekend, people were in Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. So essentially, if all of this breaks one way, right, and Kamala Harris wins big states here, we're looking at North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, any of these here as or Arizona. Basically, she's likely going to win all of them, right? And she'll be president. And Donald Trump, he doesn't have to win as much, and he'll be president. So right now they're leaning 0.8%, right, is what they're looking at. It's a statistical that in Trump's favor overall. And on the battleground states, we have, according to Real Clear Politics, this is 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, November 4th. What we're looking at is Wisconsin +4 for Harris, Michigan +0.6 for Harris, and Trump winning all the other leaning Trump all the other battleground states, some by a little, some by a lot. So Harris has, if you go by the polls, and if these polls are accurate, right, let me zoom in here. If these polls are accurate here, Harris has a lot of stuff that has to go her way for this to be, for her to be president. It's just the way it is. I hate to be bad, to bear bad news for half of the people out there in the country, but this is the way it is with this. And, I like the Electoral College system. Imagine if this was popular vote. Pardon me. I hate to find out what the hell would happen. The country would cease to exist, in my opinion. Not in its present form. Because you would only have the population centers voting. And the population centers would be the ones that would be dictating terms to the rest of the population. Electoral College, everything gets balanced out. It's better than the popular vote on that. So let's go on over to 538 here. Doesn't look like we're getting to OSHA News today, but not much happened today with OSHA News. Here. So going on over to 538. Again, I'm using this under fair use here. So this is what we have. Our general election polling, it's pretty much dead even here. Who's ahead? It's even. They have everybody is even. Pennsylvania even, Nevada even, Georgia Republican +1, North Carolina Republican +1, Michigan Democrat +1, and it goes on and on and on here with this here. And I tell you what, it's now what's some of the other stuff that we could talk about here? If you're living in a state like New York, why are you getting upset over the presidential election? You really think, I live here in New York, you really think I'm going to go around and start raising Cain with my neighbors because they're voting one way or another? Harris is going to win the New York's electoral votes. I'm not saying don't vote, but she's very likely to win. You think I'm going to go out and ruin all my relationships over this? Let's say you're in a red state and you're you're a Harris supporter. You're going to go and ruin all your relationships with your neighbors and everything over a presidential election? Really? Your votes might not even necessarily count? Doesn't make sense. So who's going to be dictating your election stuff? Who's going to be dictating terms? It's going to be the people who are making money off of this, who are getting you riled up, and they're going to tell you what to do, and then you're going to be the one who pays the ultimate price. Broken relationships. I've had people in politics leave politics because they lose jobs over this stuff. Why? Break families up over this? Really? Unless you're working directly for the federal government or you're a politician, why are you letting this stuff dictate your life? And if it is dictating your life, you got to ask, why am I letting it dictate my life? Why am I getting this upset? Why? Doesn't make sense. It's like that old story I tell where people wanted me to go in front of a Fortune 100 client and start yelling and screaming at them about hand policies, hand protection policies, wearing gloves. They're not, Jim, you should go and talk to them, and you're got to get them, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. And had I done that, I would have gotten fired. Yeah. So, again, that was just what their main goal was try to get me fired. And I said, you know what? You're so passionate about this. Why don't you go up there and do it? Because you're much more articulate and passionate than I am, and and everything else. And you're a man. You're the business agent. You should be doing this, looking out for your men. I said this in a room about 70 people. They were in a state of shock that anybody would tell the guy that. What do you think he did? He backed down because he knew that if he went up there and started doing this, asking me doing what he asked me to do, he'd be fired on the spot, even though he was a union representative working on the job. Way it is here with all this stuff. OSHA stuff here, not too much is happening on the OSHA front. It's almost like everybody's waiting with bated breath on what exactly is going to happen here. Let's see what some of these stories are. Real quick, we have 4 minutes. Anything that comes out? So here we have, right from the Department of Labor webpage here, U.S. Department of Labor recovers $877,000 in wages benefits for 36 employees underpaid by contractors on federally funded projects. So you're under what's called the Davis-Bacon Act. Or if you're on a federally funded project, meaning that they have to pay you a certain amount of money that is relevant for the area, for your geography, so you're not out. So everybody's at least one cost of a contract. The labor is all the same, so you don't get non-union laborers, non-union outfits paying people literally right over minimum wage to right, and they're competing with union labor. Some good and some bad. Do you think I feel comfortable out on a job when you have one guy, usually a guy, who is working in, let's say, the fast food industry 1 week, and then the next week they're doing iron work, climbing steel? Don't think it happens? I've seen it happen multiple times. Right? Well, it used to be that those were the kinds of contractors that would get the jobs. Here, things are at least somewhat equal here. And then, of course, working for a lot of these companies that are non-union, they're not paying them well compared to the union. The unions are getting out competed here, and you're usually not getting the same quality of work. Very rarely do you get the same quality work with this. So this again was for the HUD, right? With with housing and urban development work. One company, a Rockville Center electrical contractor, categorized 11 employees improperly as jobbers, maintenance, and repair workers rather than electricians, paying them less than the required prevailing wages and benefits for electricians. So the division determined the employer owed the affected employees $43,984 in wages and $550,321 in fringe benefits. A lot of money there. EMG, we're not going to mention names here, a West Babylon construction contractor failed to pay $69,000 and change and required to prevailing wages and fringe benefits to 21 employees categorized improperly as service fitters rather than for their work as insulators and sheet metal workers. Another contractor failed to pay full fringe benefits to 4 apprentices, an explicit requirement, and the division recovered $214,000 in fringe benefits. Again, here, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Oh, this got by us last week. This is from MSHA. The U.S. Department of Labor announced today that MSHA completed impact inspections in September 2024 at 8 mines in Indiana, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wisconsin, and issued 112 violations. This is what found, right? Imminent danger order after finding a miner standing on an elevated deck without fall protection, a condition that exposes the miner to danger of a fall. Serious housekeeping issues throughout a mine, violations for ensuring safe access to work areas, 3 citations for improper examinations of workplaces, inadequate examinations prevented hazardous conditions from being identified. This is like a hazard assessment, as some they call it, examination here. 3 citations for inadequate guarding, including 2 to elevate it as SNS, right? Serious and something else, right? Do significant and substantial, that's what it is. And they give you a spreadsheet that's completely unreadable. Oh, they give you a nice breakdown here of everything. So again, that's what's going on. So we're going to be back here tomorrow during the regular stuff. And I tell you what, it's like everything, all these news releases that we normally cover, everything stopped in the last 2 weeks, basically. For OSHA, I'd love to know what's going on here. with that and how they do that. Maybe I'll figure that out one day. Maybe not. So we're going to do our outro here, and we will see you back here tomorrow with everything. And from Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel, and it looks like we can't do that. All right, we're going to see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day, guys, and remember to vote. And remember to get your friends, your loved ones, and if you're from New Jersey, your dead loved ones to vote tomorrow. For Safety Wars, Jim Posel.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
People make mistakes, know it's true. Falling down and rising up anew. Learning from the scars and heal the bruise. Everybody's got their own excuse. Context drives behavior, can't you see? Past and present shape our destiny. The way you act is not just up to me. In this dance we're bound by history. Late fixes nothing, we're wasting time. Pointing fingers never solves a crime. Each other up and let us climb to better heights and brighter days we find. Learning and improving vital parts of a life that pushes growing hearts. Picking up the pieces where we start. Every stumble plays tender art. Leaders show their color when we fall. In their hands they hold the rise or sprawl. How they lift us changes us and all. A reflection of their inner core. Nothing, we're wasting time.
got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.